tried to do something, new. I get some new equipment, so I thought maybe the new equipment's making things a little bit easier for me. So I thought I'd, post some little vlogs, little videos talking about what's going on, what kind of stuff's going on with me, what I'm doing, what I'm watching, what I'm reading. I got some books I've been, as you probably know, if you don't, well, here, I'll tell you. I read a lot. I read like several books at the same time. Here's one I'm reading, Ghosts of Orange County by Victoria Gross. Interesting book if you are familiar with Orange County, California. She also is one of the producers on My Ghost Story for the Bio Channel, and I just made an appearance on that show about a Coral Cafe ghost in Burbank, California. It's one of the most renowned locations for hauntings. This little cafe. Also, I saw this film, Lost in La Mancha. Lost in La Mancha, yeah. I saw this in the theater when it came out, and I really enjoyed it because I'm a huge fan of Terry Gilliam. There's some great stuff in here about just the perils of trying to make a film, and it's funny and it's sad and it's frightening, and Johnny Depp's in it, so you'll probably dig that. Also, a really good book. It's a very thick one by Reed Martin called The Real Truth. It's everything you didn't know that you need to know about making an independent film. Really, really good stuff in there. And there's a really inspiring chapter about just filmmakers I really like. And just, sometimes you see people, make these Hollywood movies, or they make these movies and you think, wow, they just had a silver spoon in their mouth. Money, was handed over to them by their parents or whatever. But there's some, tragic stories. One of my favorite films in recent years was House of Sand and Fog. Was that right? Was it House of Sand and Fog? Yeah. And the director of that movie, he was a dishwasher while he was trying to get this movie made. And I don't know if it's in the book. I haven't, I'm only a few chapters in, but I remember like Abel Ferrara, one of my favorite, filmmakers. He was driving a cab while, making films. So it's some inspiring stuff in that. Also, I picked this up. It's the Popular Mechanics Boy Mechanic Makes Toys. The Boy Mechanic. So it's like these really old articles about games, toys, tricks, and other amusements. And I picked this up from Borders, brand new, for $1. It was I think it was like $1.99 in their bargain thing. But it's got all these really great projects and projects and things that you can build. If you go to my website jerrylentz.com, you've probably seen numerous mentions of you talk about Make Zine Magazine or makezine.org, where you go onto it and it's these people making things, and then they sell it on Etsy or they sell it on eBay, and they're creating income for themselves by making these gadgets and toys and things like that. Also, reading a Facebook friend of mine who was also an advertiser on jerrylentz.com. Wrote this book. Jill Dearman. She's got a great book, Bang the Keys. You got to check this out. It's if you're interested in writing, in the life of the mind, life of being a writer, and what you can do. This is a fantastic book. I highly recommend this. I've actually read this. I'm reading it for a second time. There's some really great exercises and some things in there that you'll want to use that'll help you create ideas for stories and generate some content. Like if you're just writing a blog, that the book would be very helpful. Just like stimulating your mind in a lot of ways. This is really great. This is a really cool sequel to Freakonomics, Super Freakonomics. Again, I think I'm only I may be only about 3 chapters in this, but I love this book so far. And this is what I'm really enjoying right now. Cecil B. DeMille. This is a really great biography, and I love the layout of the cover. I just love that font, and yeah, it's really good. A Life in Art. I know you're probably thinking like, well, he's did all those Bible movies and all that sort of stuff, but he's an incredible showman, incredible talent this guy had. Also, back in the time, you think about it, here's a guy who's really sort of subversive. There was, they brought the postmaster general or whatever it was to, they created this motion picture code because the movies they got pretty racy back in the day, like in the silent movies and when sound first came in. So they hired this guy to to create this code where no nudity or anything could be shown, but DeMille got around all that sort because he was making Bible stories, and so he could have all the nudity he wanted. Dancing girls, nude, and It was really neat. You know, his sister, Agnes DeMille, was it his sister? I believe that's his, or maybe it's his niece. The great choreographer. There's a movie she's in where she's completely nude. I mean, completely nude. You know, she's probably a teenager and she's riding around on the back of an elephant or a camel or something. So how weird would it be to be an uncle or an older brother or whatever the relationship was? I'm sure I think it was an uncle. And you know, or maybe I'm wrong completely, but you know, to have a young relative like that completely nude on your film, but because it was a Bible story, it was okay. Also, I've been playing Mad-Libs. I haven't played Mad-Libs since I was a kid, and I have three friends, you know, three beautiful girls, and we've been playing Mad Libs on Skype. We've been doing this, and there's some online Mad Libs that you can do where you could just, you know, it'll ask for a noun, it'll ask for a an adjective or a verb or a pronoun. I mean, sometimes it, you know, it gets so specific. I was like, oh, what's an, gee, I don't know what an adverb is. I mean, you know, it's like these muscles that don't get used a lot. You know, if you, you know, like, you know, I have a friend, she's studying trig right now, and I was thinking like, when in my life have as an adult, used, you know, any kind of calculus or trigonometry or anything like that? So I totally feel for her. But anyway, this is the Mad Libs are great because it just seems to open up something in your mind, or at least mine anyway. That it's just this, you know, like a pool of creativity when you start. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you must know, right? It's where you have a bunch of sentences and there's blanks in there, and it'll ask you for a noun or an adverb, and you fill it in, and then you read it later, or someone, you know, is asking for these things and they fill it in and then they read you the story, and it's hilarious. I mean, you know, sometimes it's hilarious, but we were just, I was laughing so hard. My ribs are, I thought the next day I'd like hurt, I thought I had run into a wall or something. It was like sore, but it was because of the night before I was laughing so hard. And one of the funniest sentences out of the game, it shows you where our mind is. But the sentence goes, I must have been making too much noise because the librarian came over waving her butthole at me. And, you know, I mean, it was just such a non sequitur. We were laughing so hard at that, I mean, because we're like children. Anyway, playing it, you know, really causes something inside my mind to open up. And you start thinking about all the possibilities, all the ideas that could be generated for books or for, you know, blogs or website stories, all manner of silliness. You know, it's really like poetry sometimes. It reminds me of those cut-ups that William Burroughs and David Bowie, when he would write his songs, you know, all that stuff comes to mind with these Mad Libs. And I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't people. I know Naked Lunch was sort of made like, you know, the book was written like that. I know there must be just thousands of books like that. I remember a really great biography of Earl Stanley Gardner, the guy that created Perry Mason. He used to create, because he was like really prolific. I mean, he wrote like, you know, 500 bucks or something. But he would generate. He had this plot wheel thing where he would spin it around like it was a roulette wheel, and it would have different plot lines. And whenever you'd be stuck on something, you know, he could just generate these little elements and stories. So it is kind of like Mad Libs in a way. Someone who's really good at words, and you know, he's a great comic, and you've probably seen him, you know, hosting, you know, well, with the MTV Movie Awards, MTV Video Awards. I'm not really sure, but Russell Brand, he's got a great documentary from BBC4 called On the Road. It's just a wonderful documentary about him following the stories of Jack Kerouac, but mostly it's about Russell Brand, you know, going across America in a pickup truck, just going, you know, for people that knew him and following the story. It's really good stuff. You'll also find it on my website, jerrylentz.com. And, you know, I hope to be doing more of these little video teasers talking about, you know, telling you that I want you to join the Jerry Lentz fan book or the podcast Facebook fan page. Is that right? The Jerry Lentz podcast Facebook fan page. So just go to Facebook and search Jerry Lentz podcast, and it'll come up. I got to get the amount. It's a fairly new fan page, so the numbers aren't up that well. So I'd really appreciate it if you not only add yourself, but maybe add some of your friends. You know, suggest it to your friends, and also, you know, listen to the podcast. If you're not listening already, subscribe to it. Find it. The podcasts are fun. It's a little bit better than this. It's except it's not as visual as what I'm doing right now. But also, you know, just it'd be great for you to go to jerrylentz.com, also to hang out and you know, look for my various television appearances. Follow me on Twitter, add me on Facebook, look for me on MySpace, email me just like the emails are coming in right now. Also subscribe to my YouTube page. Every once in a while, I'll add like some really cool stuff to the YouTube page, and you know, just stick around, hang around. I think it'll be a whole lot of fun. All right, talk to you later.